And now it was sounding like an orchestra because my brain had actually created some new neurological pathways and started healing itself. If you can heal your brain, you can heal your body. But I had been a brainwave technologist. We are energy. Even our brains are emitting different frequencies that are coming off our brains that mean different things. Whatever the EEG's admitting, those frequencies are placed into sounds and then go into your ear. And your brain hears these sounds and says, oh, that doesn't sound good. And eventually it starts altering itself and creating new neurological pathways and stuff to kind of heal the brain in those areas. My uncle had a cattle farm. So as young as I can remember, I would go out to the farm and just be amongst the cattle. They had a big water tank and I'd run around in the water tank and all these cows would be slurping up with their big tongues all the water. To keep from getting sick all winter was to just step out in the snow or the ice for just a short little bit and have your feet get cold and then run back in the house. And they were like, oh, that'll help your immune system. You can get outside for 10 or 15 minutes a day, that it really helps you just mentally being out in nature and just, it's like nature therapy. I think people can do that. It's a lot about visualization and also feeling the belief of I am healthy, I'm well, I'm feeling great. Even if you have the cancer, it's like telling yourself that these are all great things and then seeing yourself somehow putting the cells of healthy cells back in. I'm into that too with the numerology and love like when I see different numbers because I feel like that the universe signals too and saying, hey, I'm talking to you.
Welcome, dear listeners and followers of the Oliver Schirach Show, and also to the new people which have never heard about me and my show. Welcome to the second interview of Mandi Morgan. This was recorded in 2020 and only now I find the time to upload it. Even though it's 3 years old, it still has a lot of information, which is good. In the first interview, we looked at her near-death experience from 30 years ago, what she experienced, what happened, and the gift she had after she came back from the near-death experience. In this second interview, we're not looking that much at the near-death experience, but more on the brain and frequencies and sounds and how they influence the brain. We also talk a little bit about angel numbers and synchronicities and numbers you see here and there. And we talk about why Mandi likes cows. Why is it her favorite animal? And what is this story about this special burger when she was younger? You need to listen to that one. So yeah, as I said already, we focus in this episode mostly on brain frequencies and the sounds and music and how it helps the mood and also how you can heal with brain technology and the music. And Mandi's experience in listening to her own brain, which sounded like a big mess, chaos, nothing nice to listen to, and with some training, her own brain sounded like a symphony. That's going to be interesting. And before I let you listen into the episode, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe button and jingle if you like this show. And I would also love you to leave some comments, positive and negative, some feedback, so I know if you like it and what you like it and how I can improve in the future. Without any further ado, I'll let you listen to my interview with Mandi. Have fun.
And welcome. This is the Oliver Schirach Show, and I'm your host. It has been a few weeks since my last interview, and here we have a second interview with Mandi. Welcome, Mandi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. And it's great to see you.
I think it's not the last time because we really enjoyed talking, and a lot happened since we talked last time. You're actually moving to Dubai, right?
I am. I'm on my way to Dubai. I'm going to teach over there And I'm just waiting. As of yesterday, I was supposed to leave on Friday, and then I got a notice yesterday evening saying that they've changed the flight now to August 16th, that's the
Oh,
first time that they'll fly.
oh,
So you're
COVID.
postponed.
It's not the first time it's postponed because we talked before when we can talk again, and you mentioned something mid of July you would fly, right? Wasn't it the 18th or something?
Exactly. I was supposed to leave on the 19th, and then they changed the flight to July 31st, and now they've postponed it to August 16th. So I'm just hoping they don't change it again.
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do in Dubai?
I'm going to be teaching over there with just other students that have special needs. And then I'm also hoping that I'll get something up and going too, just with my intuition and what I believe is supposed to happen as of now, since I turned 52 yesterday.
Yes, and we talked in the first interview that you were told on your 52nd birthday, the world is in need of change, or it's changing, or there's something big happening, right?
Exactly. What I had seen when I was younger was that we would be kind of in peril and that there would be a war going on. I didn't understand what kind of war, but now that we're in COVID-19, I believe that that's what was transpiring, what I was seeing a long time ago. Because I always have heard, but you will be prepared, you'll be ready for whatever it was that was coming. And so now we're here. And I've actually been waiting to turn 52 for quite some time, which is just bizarre. Most people are dreading turning an older age, but I'm happy.
I can see it. I mean, we talked before, and you mentioned that it's early for you. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, right?
It is, yes.
And for me, it's 4 o'clock. And I was like, "Oh, are you ready that early?" But you said with all the moving and everything, you're early. So, but I can see you're shining, like the cow behind you.
Exactly. And this was actually a gift my neighbor gave me. My favorite animal is cows.
Okay, how is it that the cow became your favorite animal? Did you have anything else, or is it just since ever you remember?
Well, when I was growing up, my uncle had a cattle farm. So as young as I can remember, I would go out to the farm and just be amongst the cattle. I used to run in this, they had a big water tank, and I'd run around in the water tank, and all these cows would be slurping up with their big tongues all the water.
And you would be inside. How old were you?
um, well, at that time, I was probably only 3, 4, 5 years old that I first started remembering the cows, but I always thought they were funny because their tongues go up and they hit their noses, and then the way that they look at you, and I just thought they were always adorable. And then, like, we had one called Bessie, and
Yeah,
you know,
Bessie.
and so they were just some of them are really docile and just very sweet. And then there was another one that was, that I used to get on. His name was CY, and he was a bull.
Oh, you would
And
get on that one?
I would because my uncle would always help me up, and I would just ride around on him. But something happened one day with CY. He got very angry with my uncle, and so was barbecue one day.
Oh, yeah. You ate him, or
Unbeknownst to me, we had a barbecue, and I ate, and I said something about this being the best barbecue, and my uncle goes, "Well, that was CY." And I went, "Oh my gosh." So to this day, I don't usually eat meat because I always think of CY and go, "Oh my gosh, that barbecue."
yeah, it's actually weird when you have a personal connection to an animal and you eat it afterwards. It suddenly feels so wrong. But if you don't have a connection, you just go to the supermarket and buy the meat.
Exactly, definitely. But I have found that cows all have their own personalities and anyway, for some reason they just make me happy.
Okay, yeah, cool. I didn't know that, so that's cool. Because cows for me, I don't know. It's I'm Swiss, and there's all these cows in the mountains. They're just there.
Right. Well, and I thought that that was funny because one, did I see a video of you
Ah,
in
yes.
the field with cows or something? And I thought, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I had a cow video for my followers, which don't follow me on LinkedIn. I actually don't know if I put it on Facebook, but I had my, how do you say, the ceiling fell on my head, basically. I just was getting nervous and just needed air because it was like 3, 4 days of the weather we have now, rain and wind. And it was actually when we wanted to go to vacation. I think it was that week. Uh,
Right.
and it was just raining horizontally almost. So I didn't get really out. So I was in the house. I didn't really do meditations and all this grounding stuff. And on one point, I'm just like, I cannot anymore. I had my work pullover on, which is old and paint is on it. And I just
Right.
went with my shorts and bare feet and just walked. And I'm like, walked and walked and walked. And I talked to a friend, which does
Mhm.
acupuncture, massage, and all kind of things. And I
Yeah.
ended up on the field. And because I had to go up and down, the reception was not so good. So I just stayed there on top of one of the hills, 15, 20 meters away. What is that? Uh, Divided by 2.5, like 6, 7 feet,
Right. Mhm.
something like that. I don't know. So it was a safe distance because I know from Switzerland that cows can, they're heavy. And if they
They're very
run from,
heavy, and some of them can be temperamental.
yes. So I said, I keep the distance. So I continued talking to my friend while, I had a okay reception. But I was expecting someone else to talk to, which I haven't talked for a very long time. And then we stopped. And by the time I looked over, all the cows are standing up and were coming towards me. And like, okay, that's weird. And of course, I kept an eye on them, not suddenly be surprised. And then I walked over and through them, and they came to me. And, so that's when I took the video. And then they just followed me. And it was really funny. And I never felt threatened or anything. I mean, I could feel they were just curious and friendly. Okay, this is the second try. We had a computer failure on Mandy's side, and you just mentioned that you send it in or for maintenance, and that everything is fine. And you talked about that it happens again and again. Oh, What is your idea that it happens?
Well, I've been told by other people who are mediums or who are psychic that we affect electricity. And I do know that as bizarre as it is, I can walk down a street or I can drive down a street and the street lights, depending on where my mood is, the street lights will either flicker or maybe even burst. And so I do have things that happen um, that's just bizarre that other people will go, "How did that happen?" or "What's going on?" Even with the TV will go off or back on again. Um, so I have no idea, and people will tell me it only happens when you're standing here, and if you're not here, this is not happening. And
Okay,
it's
well,
this
what mood do you have to be in that it happens? Are you excited in the positive and negative way, or
yes, I can be really happy, or if I'm sad, or if I'm um aggravated or something, these different things will just happen. But if I'm just like at a even, emotion and I'm not like "Woo," or down or whatever, it seems like it doesn't happen as often. But when I'm like happy or really into something, like I was really into your story, and then boom.
yeah? I finished the story in case you didn't hear it, um, but I thought it's funny that you don't move. So So I stopped the recording there. Uh, so what did touch you when I talked about? I mean, we talked about that after it happened to me, and I also had the number 817 on one of the cows, which I thought it was funny because it's called the angel number. And I thought like, okay, because not every number has a meaning.
Exactly. And I'm into that too with the numerology and love, like when I see different numbers, I constantly will take and look them up and just see exactly what they mean. Because I feel like that the universe signals too and saying, "Hey, I'm talking to you." And we were talking about all the cows coming up to you. That was one of the thoughts that I had. I was like, wow, you were being touched by angels. They were like really acknowledging you.
Yeah, I was really down, and then I left there bare feet, and I felt really good afterwards. It was 2 hours raining, not too warm, but it was also had, yeah, I also had a head fog. I remember for 2 3 days I had like a running nose, like water coming out. So like one of
Right.
those colds where it just like drips, 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 and then you get like a fog head. Plus, I was inside the house and not really getting out. But I was walking for the 2 hours, and my nose was not dripping. My head was clear, and I was in a good mood. Right?
Exactly. And as you're sitting here talking to me, it's like I feel like that you just have to, and I think I mentioned it even the first time, your soul just longs to be with nature. And so if you're stuck in the house, it just really brings down your energy and your immune system and everything. So it's like you really have to find a way to connect with the outside somehow each day. So having your feet in the grass, feeling it is like food to your soul going, oh, yeah, yeah, you're now it's me.
But that's also what it's now it's 2020. I think in 2015, I heard Tim Ferriss talk to Wim Hof, and that's when basically Wim Hof went from not being known to being known around the world. And he talked also about cold exposure and so on. I'm like, you know what? I feel good bare feet, and somehow I needed that confirmation from someone else that I'm not cuckoo in my head. So definitely from that point on, during all year, I'm just going barefoot in the garden when we have compost or something like that to be thrown because I feel good. Also, when it's ice outside or whatever, it's just 1 or 2 minutes, so I will not get sick because of 1 or 2 minutes.
Oh, and actually, when I was up in Alaska, there were some people who said to me that to keep from getting sick all winter was to just step out in the snow or the ice for just a short little bit and have your feet get cold and then run back in the house. And they were like, oh, that'll help your immune system. I don't know if it does or doesn't, but I was like, okay.
Did you do it?
Oh, yes, I did. I would run outside and just put my feet in and then go, "Oh my gosh, this is cold," and run back in.
But that's again, Wim Hof says this is this cold heat exposure is helping your immune system and it's helping anxiety. I mean, he was really stressed because his wife took her life because of anxiety and depression. And he had, what did he say, 4 or 5 kids? And he couldn't let himself down. And he went then in the cold water every day in the morning at 5. And he said that's what
Wow.
keeping him sane. And now I'm taking out a Mind Valley class, longevity. And he says we should, during this class, I think the quest is 7 weeks or something. Now it's the second week. Every day have, what was it? 5 or 10 minutes cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
if possible, twice a day. I don't take soaps because I think I only need soap when I'm really dirty because the soap is removing all the good bacteria as well.
Right, right.
And I want to have as many good bacteria on my body as possible.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah, but so that's confirming this cold hot. And he also said you can have like a vest if you cannot take a shower, if you're like in Dubai or where it's not really cold when you have cold water. So you take like an ice vest.
exactly, and just put it on you sometimes and then take it off. But
Yeah,
I
even
do
like this five
think that,
ten minutes.
right, I do believe though that doing stuff like that does help our immune systems. And so that's awesome. And then I think what I probably have it wrong, but maybe not. But being out in nature, there has been some research and studies that if you can get outside for 10 or 15 minutes a day, that it really helps you just mentally. And it's, I believe, called rustification is the name for being out in nature and just, it's like nature therapy.
Yeah, I have actually during the vacation we have been on a campsite for around 10 days, I think it was, and I've seen a video because my sister sent me something. The qigong says when you go before the sun is rising above the horizon and you do qigong outside, normally they're like 15-20 minutes. Normal
Mhm.
qigong practices, whatever I found lately. They say it has the best effects because when the sun is hitting the leaves, the plants, they will the essential oils will escape and they will rise into the air and you will absorb them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And you do when you go out in the morning. I live here in Nevada right now with the desert area. So if you go out early enough in the morning, you do smell what's to me is a beautiful desert smell because you can smell the flowers and the plants, and it's just a great, great smell. And then I know just even having the sun hit you and everything kind of opens up your pituitary gland and just kind of gets you activated for the day.
Yeah, you can go down that rabbit hole. I mean, I'm not a chemist. I'm not a doctor or anything, but different inputs I hear. The vitamin D is not the only thing that happens when you get sun exposure. And it's also like 10, 15 years ago or 20. I don't remember that someone said, if we eat a lot of greens, like green, not like the red greens,
Right.
then you somehow absorb the chlorophyll or whatever it's called. And when you're in the sun, your body is actually generating energy. So you need to eat less. So
Right.
I guess there's some processes going on there. And with the vitamin D you're producing, you also have like serotonin and melatonin and all these things, all these hormonal balances are better stabilized. And therefore they help you to create MDMA and so on. If you then do breath meditation and so on, which is the bliss you get, apparently. I didn't
E-
get there.
ex- exactly. And hopefully, I'm working with a doctor right now. She's a naturopath. So hopefully she doesn't mind me mentioning her name. I doubt she will. But her name is Dr. Tanisha Wards, and she's from Austin, Texas. But exactly what you just said, that's a lot of what she has said to me too.
Oh, it's just like all these different informations I get in, they're like puzzle pieces, and things I knew are normal. Like I want to go out and I want to move, and but you have the naysayers around you, which just say, yeah, you're just overdoing it. So now we are turning around, right? And perhaps that's the war we have. I mean, how did when you said you saw a war happening in 2020, how did that look? Was it like airplanes and bombs and everything, or was it colors, or was it just a feeling, or what was it?
It was kind of a feeling, and I do see some images, but I couldn't really completely make out the images. And I just kept thinking, oh, somehow I will be ready. And not only that, my daughter, because my death experience was the day that my daughter was born, and she's a miracle for just having made it through that as well. And and I always saw her being ready for this time frame too, that she would be able to conquer whatever war this was, and she'd have the knowledge that she needed to get through the war. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. But right now, which is just before the COVID-19 began, she started taking college classes to become a nurse. And so I was like, how convenient is that? That's like a connection. of she's right on top of it and she knows exactly what's going on, what needs, just different ways to go about doing things to help people to stay well. And I thought, wow, this is great. So if this is the actual war, then she's she's on top of it. And if the
I was
other
because I was thinking more what I'm hearing. I mean, people think of a war like airplanes, bombers, and all these things, right? AI, robots, and Terminator, or whatever not. But a
right,
war could also be. I mean, there's also the financial war, then there's the internet war. I was thinking more like because we are connecting like I got to you because of a spiritual message, right? Somehow
ex-
I'm not so much on Facebook, and I just go through. I'm like Mandi blah 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 posted on Mind Valley, be extraordinary, and I just clicked on it. I read it, I'm like whoa. Um,
right,
it happens like this. So I was thinking, could it also be like more a spiritual awakening war where people are like just holding on and say, this is what's in the history books. This is what the truth is. All the other things is bullshit. Um, Look at my hands. This is material. This is fixed. There's nothing else. And
right,
the other ones would say, no, no, no. We have the quantum field. We have energy field. We have all these measurements. Um, we have instant remission of cancer. Like they had weeks to live. They go to a Joe Dispenza. They go to a Patrick Hamilton or whatever it is, David Hamilton. There's so many of these different people which do this meditation. They can be 4, 5, 6, 10 days, or they go a vipassana where you're just sitting still. And you
exactly,
go into you and you come out of it and you just feel this energy rising. You feel this turmoil inside. You go to the doctor and the doctor says, your tumor, your sickness, we cannot really measure it anymore, or it's much smaller.
exactly. And that is, I believe that we can heal our own bodies also. And there are times that we cannot heal our own body just for whatever reason, whatever's going on in us. I've had to have surgeries in the past. I just couldn't seem to grasp what whatever it was to heal. Um, like I also was told that 3 years ago that I had a heart problem, and now I went back to the doctor just a couple of months ago, and he's like, "Are you the right patient? Because this what we have in your chart and your EKG today don't match, and all of the imaging that we've done on your heart doesn't match the imaging of the person we took 3 years ago."
Yeah, you talk. I think we talked in the episode about it in the first one that you visualized.
The
For you, it was
T
just a
cells.
2D picture, right? It was not the real. It was you basically saw like a drawing, right? It was not like a real heart, or was it?
Right, and it's just like I was putting, like, looking at, like, a half of a circle or something and putting a T on the top of it
Uh,
and connecting it to my heart and saying, "This is my heart." And I think people can do that. It's a lot about visualization and also feeling the belief of, "I am healthy, I'm well, I'm, um, feeling great." Even if you have the cancer, it's like telling yourself that these are all great things and then seeing yourself somehow putting the cells of healthy cells back in. And people do it different ways of how they might see it. And they
so,
might
so-
do it just with colors or uh, 3D kind of imaging or just however it is. But if it's working for them, it's great, and I think a lot of that has to do with because when we're thinking in that manner, our serotonin's going up, we're doing better, and the immune system's doing better. I once heard someone that healed their cancer by just watching an entire weekend of comedy, and they
okay,
said they laughed and laughed and laughed.
you know a person which happened to that too,
No,
but you saw a documentary or interview.
I heard about it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've heard about two different people. There's a TED talk. I I think it's a TED talk from an Israeli, and he was watching. I don't remember how long comedies, and he's going around the world and saying, "Hey guys, I was on the deathbed. They didn't know what to do anymore. and I just watched comedies. And the doctor said, "Whatever you do, continue." And then he said, "I'm watching comedy." Like, wow, okay, I knew laughter is healing. Continue. And her doctor was like really inspired by seeing the results. And then there was another one from America. I think he was a movie producer or music or whatever. He said, "If I have to die, I better die laughing." And I think I don't know if it's that person you talk about went in for a week or a weekend or whatever period and just watched binge watched comedy.
Exactly, and then all of a sudden, they were miraculously healed, and so I do think, um, attitude and having those good feelings helps us. And then we were going back to the spiritual awakening, and you're talking about with the war. I definitely feel like this is that time that we are waking up and our spiritual selves are starting to come forward. We've been so materialistic in the world, I think, in recent times, and we have kind of gotten away from our spiritual side. And I think so now here with the COVID-19, people are spending so much time at home alone or
Yes.
home with their families. And I think it's giving them time to actually think and go, oh, spiritually, these things are happening. Um, and then some people are, I feel like just even talking to my friends that they're seeking for this. It's like, well, if we can't connect and we can't go out and do all the things we used to, and we can't go get all these material things that were making us happy, then what? And
Yeah.
it's the spiritual side that can still make us happy. And we are, just like we talked about, I had been a brainwave technologist, but we are energy. And so even our brains are emitting different frequencies that are coming off our brains that mean different things. And the scientists now can even tell a lot about what's going on in a person or what's even happened in their past just because of the energy that's coming off of the brain and the frequencies that go into the EEGs.
Okay, let's continue there because that was one of the points I wanted to touch on. So how when did you work with that?
I worked with that back in 2012, 2013, and it was a research, and it was called Brain State Technologies in Scottsdale, Arizona. And now they've gone on, and I believe they're calling themselves CERCA or CERCA, or I'm not sure what they're calling themselves. I shouldn't probably put that out there because I'm not sure. Um, I know it was cerebellum something, but it's basically what they're finding is if you can heal your brain, you can heal your body. And and so there's been like the owner, his name is Lee Guardas, and he actually had been beaten by a bat and he had some like brain damage or something that was going on. And so he was like, how can I heal myself? And he finally came up with this device. And it it emits different sounds of whatever the EEG's admitting. Those frequencies are placed into sounds and then go into your ear. And your brain hears these sounds and says, oh, that doesn't sound good. And eventually it starts altering itself and creating new um, neurological pathways and stuff to kind of heal the brain in those areas. And eventually the sound starts to sound like an orchestra or real music. And I've experienced this myself where I did the EEGs and did the sounds that were coming back in real time. And when I first was listening, it sounded like a broken record. And then as I continued to do sessions, by the end, I had done like 10 sessions. And at the end, it was still playing real time from the same program of what my brain was admitting as frequencies. And I was hearing like an orchestra. And I was like, this is beautiful music. It was the same program that I had heard that sounded like a broken record, and now it was sounding like an orchestra because my brain had actually created some new neurological pathways and started healing itself.
Okay, so because it's not the same as now. I don't know how it's called, the one I've tried, but what you say is basically you connected with like 4 or 5 or 6. How many connections do you get on the on the head?
Usually you put for, I
Okay.
think there's quite a few number of points that you can use on the head depending on what's going on. But usually, well, actually, did we put 4 leads or 2 leads? I think it was 4.
Okay, so you have more connections, and there you just try out in the beginning how it sounds, and if it sounds really bad, you stay there, and if it sounds okay, you start moving to other points, or
Right, and then also too, we'd find out kind of what was going on with people, and that would also help where we needed to try to help with the brain.
so you make like you talk to the people before, like, okay, I had a car accident, I hit the head here, whatever, not, or I was abused as a kid, or
Right. Well, I can tell you that most people don't tell you that they've been abused,
they
as
don't
a
know
kid.
it. I've heard many people don't even remember have been abused.
Right, they actually don't, and then, like, I would put on the, temporal area, and then all of a sudden you would see, like, all of this chaos that's going on, and then on certain frequencies, you can actually go, "Oh, that there it is," and there has been trauma or child abuse or something in the past that is causing their brain to be off kilter.
Wow, interesting. I guess I need to get some contact to that person to ask him in more details how it
Right.
works. I mean, did when you were an assistant there, you were
I actually became a brainwave technologist, so I had to go through some schooling to actually learn about the different points on the head that you use to put the EEG. So I had to learn how to use an EEG. And then I needed to learn more about different parts of the brain and what does that entail. And there was like a number of things that I ended up learning throughout the program. And then I used that. And then they also have the first time that you ever, have the EEG on, we're just assessing. So we're
yeah.
kind of picking up what is the brain patterns. And even from the brain patterns, you can tell what's going on with people. You can tell, when they're not getting enough sleep. And so the delta, so this is like the delta, alpha, beta, and gamma rays and are not rays, the frequencies. You start to see that and you can tell, oh, and delta, they're not getting proper sleep because that's off. And so you can help with programs that will help them to get to sleep. And you also can, even online, you can find stuff like on YouTube, like the binaural beats. This wasn't the binaural beats, but binaural beats also help too, because I know now I don't have access to the technology that I used to have. So I'll get online sometimes and go, okay, let me find some binaural beats and just listen to those. And they're giving off the same frequencies.
Okay, so yeah, because we don't have so much time, so I have to see how I ask questions. When you now test and you see, okay, there's something going on, you put then it's going in a machine, and then you have headsets on, and you get the sound.
Hmm.
And you, as a technician or as an assistant or doctor or whatever, the brainwave, yeah, technologist, you said, you sit next to it and you just see waves on a computer screen, or are you hearing the sound as well, or how is that?
Oh no, I don't get to hear any of the sound. I just see where the brain is from the EEG.
Yeah. I, does then the patient look at the screen where something is happening, or they're just sitting there and kind of try to meditate, or what happens?
Right. They kind of go into a meditative state. So they're kind of just relaxed in a recliner that sits back. There is a screen that does have different figures that are going on in front of them. But for the majority of them, they weren't looking at that because we really suggested that you close your eyes and just listen and let that come through.
Oh, okay. And so it's like, as you said, it takes it off, takes the frequency, goes in the brain, like goes into the ears, and then the brain says, "Oh, it's not working." And then the brain itself heals itself by trying to adjust the sound it hears because it knows, oh, this comes from this part of my brain. And is that what happens?
E
Or
exactly, and so, some of the findings too, and is that when we're listening to music, it also affects us. So, you can listen to some music and you feel really sad, and then you listen to other music, you feel really happy. So, all of these are frequencies that your brain's getting into it. The brain, I think I just messed up how I said that, but your brain is hearing the frequency from the music. So, our music that we listen to does affect us in different ways. So if you're listening to some music and it's like real rough, then your feelings might become really where you're just out of sync because of the music that you're listening to. And then when you're listening to maybe the classical music, you're feeling really calm and not.
yeah, well, wasn't that the Baroque or something like that helps you to focus better? Or is that putting you on a
Yes, you're
theta wave? Or
you're
what is it?
you were absolutely right that it was I believe Bach and just like Beethoven, any of those types of music, they just kind of a lot of times will soothe you.
Or it was more like, I think it's like study music. Might I say you learn better, but I think you learn better when you're in a theta brainwave because the theta is the brainwave the kids have until 6, 7 years of age, where reality and fantasy are kind of not really separated, and that's why so many kids can have a broomstick and that's a dragon or whatever it is.
Exactly. And that's also what you're kind of describing is are we using our right brain or left brain? So the
Oh,
hemispheres, right hemisphere, left hemisphere.
I
Yeah.
didn't know I'm asking about that, but
So when you were talking about music, that's coming from your right hemisphere, and our language is coming from our left hemisphere. And so it all just depends on your what parts of your brain that you're developing and where things are coming from. So some people who identify better with music will actually learn to speak better if they're hearing the music, or maybe even use it for spelling or whatever in a sing-songy voice, and then it kind of transfers over for your language on your left side. I'm not explaining it correctly because I'm not a scientist
no, no,
or
but
the
that's also why.
professional either,
But
but kind of just the gist of how things kind of can work. And
yeah, that's why I said probably I need to get someone which is has been doing that for many, many, many years. You were working 2 years with it, but now when you don't have the access to these eh, equipments to basically hear to your own thoughts or your own brain, are you always going back to one type of frequency, or you're just saying I'm low energy, so I take that type of frequency, or I feel a bit lonely, so I take the love frequency. I mean, when you go to Spotify or YouTube and solfeggio, I think someone said solfeggio is like the healing music. Then you look for solfeggio music,
that's it.
then you find these different frequencies, and some say this is the frequency for abundance, and this is the frequency for love, and this is the frequency for healing yourself. But is that really working like that?
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. You're definitely receiving some healing from listening to those different sounds because they have specific frequencies that they're having your brain hear over and over and over again, and your brain does react to those frequencies.
Okay. So then the other question is left, right. I've listened to someone that unfortunately lost the notes. He was working, probably it's the same guy, or it's another one, which was working with frequencies to find your own resonance of the body. And when you hit that resonance, you basically, it's like taking ayahuasca, it's like taking LSD, it's something like that. He said he had visions because he was going further than he would go with patients because he needed to find out, what is music doing.
Right. And I wonder if that is like Lee Guardas or not, because that's kind of exactly what it's like. You want to get at times up to gamma, which is like out of what our norm is. And so that even they say can become where you're psychic or an intuitive or
Yeah.
that you're raising yourself to that frequency and other things might be happening. And you're just really sharp thinking and things are happening quickly. But he definitely listens to his own, technology and checks to see that it's working. But it sounds like something that Lee Curtis would do.
Okay, so I'll check out Lee Guardas. Either that man had a white beard and was old as, I don't know, 60, 70 years of age or something like that.
Mhm.
Are you smiling? So that might fit.
It might be him. He's pretty incredible at what he does. So, um, and I think that what he's doing is fantastic. I think that in the future, we're going to see a lot of changes in even our medicine and stuff just because of the technology that I've seen. And
I hope so. I
it,
really hope so. I mean, I just see myself while you talk, I just see myself having this nice room in the big company. It has a green wall with water coming down or not, whatever, not. Some relaxing chairs, and you have some music there or headsets, and you can just get your help meditation, right? To de-stress. Because it's
right,
not looked at, oh, he's lazy. Because it's like, hey, we are as a company are responsible for the health of our employees. Because
right.
they spend so much time here, and the healthier the employees are, the better is the company.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So, I definitely think you should check out this Lee Curtis then. So the
Yeah, we'll definitely. I'll check it out and put on some notes. So, how much more time do you have before people are coming?
I have like 5 minutes and then that'll be it for
Oh,
today, and I know we always have so much that we wanna talk about. I'm thinking, "Oh, I wasn't even planning on." I know we had talked about it, but I wasn't even planning on going into depth with the brain, so I'm going, "Oh, let me recall what it is from back then," but it's all just coming out.
yeah, but it's been there, and I'm just curious because I've only seen it once, and then they're talking about left and right brains. If you have a slight difference in the left ear to the right ear, you will adjust the connection between the left and the right brain, and then you're in homeostasis with the left and right brain, and that's when you're really functional. At least
Ex
what I heard.
exactly, that's exactly correct, and
Yay!
you get all the answers today.
Uh,
You're very knowledgeable.
that's what people say. But some people think it's, yeah. What is this knowledge, right? Because it's not mainstream. It's not what we are learning at school. It's not what the doctors generally do.
Right, and I think that we're taking a swing now. I think that we used to have these certain ways that we thought, and we thought, "Oh, uh, and intuitive and stuff that that's not possible." And but now with the new technology that we have coming out, or technologies that are going out throughout the world, we're finding out things that we used to go and tell people, "Oh no, no, that's not real." We're starting to find out those are real things, things that happen
Yeah.
that we didn't know before. And people talk about their auras and everything, and some people are like, "Oh, no, that's not true." But we now have technology that can prove that we've got, this energy around us. It's an energy field. So that's what we call our auras. And because they vibrate at different frequencies, people can say, "Oh, they have the orange aura, they have a blue aura, they have a white aura, they have," because it's at that frequency that we're actually vibrating.
Yeah, that would be interesting to
Each
see what color it is. For
Right, because each color has its own, frequency.
But then there's the other thing, when I listen to Joe Dispenza, because he's really pushing there. I mean, he's probably the most known scientist looking at that. And I don't remember what scientist came with him, but it's only 2 or 3 years ago that someone found out how to look actually at your chakras. They could measure
Right.
the chakras, how strong they are, how left, right. And I guess that has also to do with the energy. And what he also says is you can measure the energy field from the heart.
Exactly.
And it's 6 meters. He said something about 6 feet or 6 meters. I don't remember because, listening to all around the planet, you get feet and meters and and
Exactly.
Fahrenheit and Celsius. But he says they cannot measure further. That's why they say it's 6 meters or feet or whatever it is, because the measurement doesn't go further. But there, he's sure the field is going much longer. And there's also this research showing that if several people together meditate for love and compassion, that in that region they did it, there was less crime. There were less whatever bad things. There were more good things happening.
And and they've actually been able to show that with science as well, and
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
find that very fascinating because we do end up connecting somehow, and we do create a bigger energy field when we're connected, and it's just all so interesting, and actually, I also did something that's from Hawaii, and I can't exactly I'll give you the name when I can figure it out. It's Hono Po something, but it also is kind of along those lines. Like, if you can sit there and think positive thoughts, then you're giving to other people those you'll see your world changing around you to where there's good things that are happening.
Okay, but let's stop with the positive thought and say thank you for today. And I have a long list of questions for part 3, 4, 5, 6. And we know from Tesla 3, 6, and 9 are magic numbers. So
Yes, that was awesome. And yes, we'll have to get together and I can probably get with you again in the next couple of weeks or even, maybe at the end of next week or something, because it sounds like we got to continue this conversation.
we definitely have to. Okay, so dear guests and listeners, if you like this show, please leave a review or star rating on whatever app you are. I guess iTunes is the most used one, or Spotify. And share it on Facebook, WhatsApp, wherever. And you can even leave a voice message for me and Mandi on anchor.fm/Schirach, SCHIRACH. So I would love to hear that. And also for questions you have for Mandi or me. And see you another time.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was fantastic as always.